It's Charm Chats with Kendra and Kat for our anniversary, which happens to be today. We've got a very special Q&A. Hi guys, and welcome to our Q&A episode.
Yay! Why don't you take off the ukulele?
Yeah. We started to sit down to write this, and I was just like, inspiration, strike! And then I had to write something.
Yes.
So I just did that.
Yes, she did. Came up with it on the spot. I got to watch the magic happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was lovely.
Speaking of magic,
Yes.
it's not really magic. Whatever. You know what I mean.
Yep. So, this is going to be very minimally edited, if at all, and it is raining outside, so I apologize for that. Because, June, it's a rainy month.
Apparently.
It's just a thing that happens. So, we have a few questions that people want to know the answers to, and therefore...
And by few, we mean precisely 13.
Yes.
Which seems very appropriate.
It does, kind of. So, I figured since this is our 3-year anniversary of the podcast, dear God, we've been doing this for 3 years.
Uh-huh.
So weird. We would pop this out as a bonus episode at the end of June because June was when we started this 3 years ago. And so let's get into these questions.
Yeah.
First question is, how did you and I meet?
I believe we met via the Nerd Fighter group on Facebook. I don't remember which group specifically, but there was like a group that decided to get together in like the Chicago Burbs area to go see The Fault in Our Stars.
Yep.
We met at my local Starbucks. Mm-hmm. And then...
We started out, there was like a group of like 3 or 4 of us.
Yes.
And
it was
then
Yumi and I think Amity?
Amity and one other person
Yes.
showed up at the Starbucks to say hi.
Yeah, but couldn't go to
But
the movie.
they couldn't go to the movie. And then I don't remember if Amity went to the movie either.
I don't think she did.
I don't think she did. Or if she did, she left directly after it.
Yes. And then we went to go get Chinese down the street.
Because we were both hungry after the movie and had just started like chatting and stuff. And then we spent the next 5 hours.
Yeah, we closed out the Chinese place.
Just talking. And then we closed out the Chinese place, headed over to my car, and then stood outside my car talking for another hour.
Yeah.
And it was literally at that point after midnight.
Yeah.
And we're like, we should probably go now because otherwise we're going to keep talking and we're going to see the sun come up. And I'm sure that we both have things to do tomorrow.
Yeah, I had a dog to walk, so.
Yeah. So.
Hey, boo-boo.
But that was 5 years ago now? I think Fault in Our Stars came out 7 years ago?
2012, right?
I don't remember. It's been a long time.
No, I think it was probably 2013-ish.
Well, hold on. I'll look it up.
Yeah, let's look that shit up.
Let's do a quick look up. And like I said, minimally edited, so you get to sit here as I look this up. Mm-hmm. But luckily, my phone is a thing. The Fault
in
Our Stars.
Oh, and the yawns.
2014.
The yawns in our pups.
2014. So I was correct.
So it was 5 years.
5 years. But it feels like longer.
Yeah.
It feels like we've known each other for a very long time in like the best possible way.
Yes.
But yeah. So that was how we met. We went to see a movie together, had never met each other before, and just fell deeply into friendship.
Yes.
Very quickly.
Yes. Nerd fighter like,
yes. Second question is actually about the show.
Yeah.
They'll bop back and forth because I wrote them down in no particular order. How do you feel about the dynamic with the sisters with Paige versus Prue? We'll start with your.
I will say I love seeing more badass Piper. I'm very into badass Piper. And that doesn't happen really at all in the first three seasons.
Yeah, no.
Because she's got her big sister there. And Prue's always the badass.
Yeah.
Of all 3 of them.
Yeah. Piper has always, since day one, been my favorite.
She's always been the mom, in a way. But she's never been the badass.
Yeah. And reminding you that I don't remember anything after the episode we're watching at the time. So, like, I basically I vaguely remember how season 4 ends, but not really. And I don't remember really anything from the final 3 seasons at all whatsoever. So
You mean 4? 5, 6, 7, 8?
Yes.
See, she doesn't even remember how many there are.
Yes. Final 4 seasons. Sorry, my brain just kind of stopped for a minute there. It happens to me a lot. But yeah, I don't really remember anything that happens from season 5 onward. Because whenever I go back to rewatch the show, it's usually season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are some of my favorite episodes, and a select few from season 2.
Yes.
But I like the fact that Piper got to grow up in such a dramatic way.
Yeah.
They did it in such a good way.
And Holly was definitely up to the task.
Oh, yeah.
Acting-wise.
Yeah. And as much as I know that, like, Alyssa has been a child actor and she does a very good job as Phoebe, and I know that Rose is a phenomenal actress, and, like, you know, she's doing a great job as Paige. Piper has just been a constant.
Yeah.
And, like, there's just no getting around how much I love Piper as a character and as a concept.
Yeah.
And she has just always resonated with me because I've always been, like, the mom friend, you know, who can't really take care. I'm the mom friend who can't take care of themselves because they're taking care of other people.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how Piper felt to me at the beginning in the first 3 seasons. Is that, like, she's so busy taking care of everything else that her own sanity has gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
And then when Prue dies, she has to step it up.
Yeah.
Like, she has to become stronger for herself, not just her sisters.
Right.
And so I as much as I loved the Prue dynamic.
And the Prue dynamic changed a little bit. Because then, like, Phoebe gets into college and has to, like, be adulty in that way. And they get the club. And so Piper is, you know, being a boss in the literal sense, if not the metaphorical sense quite yet.
Yeah.
And then, like, Prue didn't have a job for a long time.
Yeah. She kind of fucked off from her job to follow her dream.
Yeah.
And
loosened up.
Yeah. Prue was never my favorite, mostly because, well, I never identified with her at all.
Our favorite, both of our favorite, is always Piper.
Yeah, it's always Piper. But, like, even then, secondary is always Phoebe for me, because I at least identified with her in some aspects, you know, being the youngest, at least until Paige came along. But, like, being the youngest and being the one who was never taken seriously because they never really had any direction. It's kind of where I went with that. And Prue was always just so adult and there with, like, she knows what her convictions are and she's not going to waver from them. And that just never really changed. I never really identified with that. And so she was never really my favorite for that reason. But that's not to say that she's not a good character. And, you know, she is. She did a great job with what she had and what she was doing and whatever. But I don't know. I like the dynamic better with Paige so far, from what I remember now from season 4. I like the dynamic better as the season has gotten going. And as we're later into the season and they're finally, like, letting Paige grow a bit as a character. So I'm excited to see where that takes us in the future. I think that adequately answers the question.
I would say so.
At least I hope so. So, question number 3. How do you think Prue and Paige would interact with each other if they had met?
That is a good question.
It is a very good question.
I can only imagine that Prue would have taken over a lot of the teaching responsibility that Piper ended up taking on. And I feel like Paige would have responded to it more poorly than she did from Piper. Yeah. Just because, like, this is the extra, like, this sister is used to being big sister mode and not classic middle child. So, like, sometimes Piper has a lot of, like, I remember the bit with the potions where Phoebe and Paige switch bodies. Piper was having a lot of fun, like, teaching Paige the things and letting her, like, make the mistakes. Whereas I feel like Prue would have been like, why are you still making these mistakes? Like, we've told you this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
But Piper's like, there's really no teacher better than experience.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to let you have some.
Yeah, I don't think that Paige and Prue would have gotten along very well.
No.
At least not for a very long time.
Yeah.
It absolutely would have been a little bit more antagonistic. Just because of the personality of Prue and the personality of Paige being so completely opposite.
Well, I think there would have been more of a dynamic from Prue of, like, someone would have had to have wiped her memory of Paige existing in the first place, because she was definitely old enough to remember. And the only reason it ever comes up is because, you know, I don't know, maybe she just forgot or whatever and it was never jogged, but, like, there's going to be a lot of betrayal about that. She already has, like, a daddy complex.
Yeah, it would have been an interesting thing to see how they would have taken the story, because Prue absolutely would have been old enough to know that her mother was pregnant.
Yes.
And so you know that
she's
had
seen
to
it
have,
twice before.
Yeah, you know that
because
had to have been magicked out of her brain.
Yeah, because it's, you know, it's retconned in, so
yeah,
it we don't have Prue to say whether or not she remembers, but, like, it's arguable whether or not Piper would, because, you know, she's only seen it once and she was so little at the time that she wouldn't have remembered that. But then, like, of course, Patty just says that, oh, you thought mommy got fat. But, like, Prue definitely wouldn't have thought that.
Right, and that's why I'm
thinking
that
she would have felt like
a
lot of betrayal from mom, from grandma, from dad, probably. Like, how could you let this happen, kind of deal.
Yeah, even more annoyed with dad.
Yeah, we haven't seen, what's his name again? Victor. We haven't seen Victor since finding out about Paige.
That is true.
I will spoil you for the fact that we will, but I don't quite remember how the dynamic of him finding out about her goes quite. Like, obviously he knew about the affair with Patty's white lighter, Sam, but I don't think he would have known about the kid at all, which is interesting because, what's it? Prue's born in 70, right?
I think so.
And then Phoebe was born in, what, 77? And then...
79.
So that bit with Prue... When the ice cream truck, was she 6 or was she 8? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
But, like, he was still around then.
Yeah.
Ish. And he didn't leave quite that late. He didn't leave until after Phoebe was born, so... Like, a couple of years after she was born, actually. So, you know... He would have been around when Patty was pregnant. Like,
but again, he could have been magicked, you know.
Well, he could have been, but, like,
so
clearly, even if he wasn't, then he would have just exited at the point she got pregnant, or, like, realized she was pregnant, or started showing, or something. Like, some kind of convenient, like, oh, he's left, Patty finally pushes him out, like, gets divorced, whatever. But, like, Prue would have been very much old enough.
Yeah. There are a lot of headcanon ways to go about this one. But I think the biggest takeaway is that we don't think that they would be friends.
Not right away, certainly.
It would definitely take some time.
Maybe they'd, go against all expectations and Prue would be like, oh my god, baby sister.
I mean, could be. You know, she would get to be big sister again.
Yeah.
And get to have that moment.
Yeah, maybe she'd feel betrayed by her parents and her grandma, but be extra protective of Paige.
Yeah, that could be.
Because, like, Paige little. Protect little. Be big sis. Be mom.
Yep. But who knows? Unfortunately, not us. So, question number 4, and this one is a harken back to an episode that we there was a moment in an episode where one of us said a thing and somebody asked a question about it. Why do you know from experience that a fire extinguisher in a small room sucks the oxygen out of your body?
Yes, Kat. Why do you know that?
Because I was in a small room and somebody set off a fire extinguisher and I couldn't breathe for a moment there. It was not good, guys. Not good at all. Luckily, there was a window nearby that I was able to open very quickly and get some air back into my lungs. But it was a moment of pure panic, a moment of sheer, unadulterated terror, and I don't ever want to experience that again. But yeah, I know from experience because it happened. That's a thing. Anyway, next question. How did you decide to do this podcast?
Well, I had been listening to the Gilmore Guys podcast, which is Demi Adichie and Kevin Porter. And Kevin was describing, his experience with, finding Gilmore Girls and getting obsessed with it as a kid. And I was just like, oh shit, this is me with Charmed. Like, legit, this is me with Charmed. And so then I think I put it on Facebook or something, or Twitter.
I don't remember if it was...
I definitely posted... I think it was Facebook, yeah.
I think it was probably Facebook if you posted it first, but I don't remember if we talked about it before you posted it.
Well, no, I posted something about, oh my god, like, someone should totally do a Charmed podcast. Like, anyone want to do that with me? And then you were like, yes, let's go, do, yes, good, yes.
Yeah. It basically was, Kendra had the idea, and I was like, hell fucking yes, I will rewatch Charmed, because I'd been meaning to do it anyway.
Yeah, but you never get past season 1.
I never get past season 1, because I just stop.
Uh-huh. And it had been years since I'd watched any of it at this point, so...
Because every once in a while, I will get into a bingey mood, and I will rewatch an entire season of a show, or the entire series of a show, depending on how long the show is. Like, I just finished a rewatch of The West Wing. And I had forgotten how much I loved that show. But no, there will not be a podcast on that. There is already a podcast on that called West Wing Weekly.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, when I looked, I couldn't find any podcasts about Charmed.
And there weren't. There were absolutely no podcasts.
Now there are like 4.
Now there are 4, but we were the first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say we're the best because, that would be a biased answer.
And I'm pretty sure the second one occurred because they listened to ours and didn't like it and decided to do their own. And I have never listened to it, so I don't know if it's any good.
Yeah, no. I know,
but like we pretty instantly got one of those, it doesn't sound like you like the show reviews, which is bull because like you can be critical of the things you love.
Oh yeah.
And sure, it might sound like you're, overly criticizing the thing, but like the underlying element is that you wouldn't do this if you didn't like it.
Yeah. Like if we didn't love this show, we never would have done this podcast.
Yeah.
Or, we would have stopped after season 1.
Yeah. But like it kind of flowed pretty naturally. Like, I wrote the theme song in my car on the way home from work one day. Mm-hmm. And I recorded it on my phone, and I think I sent you, like, a really rough draft.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, yes, this needs to be a thing. Because when we
what
first
happens
started...
in my head is I just rhyme. I rhyme all the time.
Yeah, but when we first started...
I did not plan that one.
When we first started, we didn't have a theme song for the first few episodes.
No, we did.
Did we?
We did. I made it up before we even started.
Did we? I don't remember.
It wasn't very good.
This just shows a lot, though. Once I edit an episode, I don't go back and listen to it.
I don't know that we put it in, but we definitely had one.
I don't remember. If somebody could send me a tweet or an email and tell me, because I have not listened to any of the podcasts because I edit them, and so all of the time that I do all of the notes and all of that, and then going back and editing and listening to my own voice, I don't need to go back and listen to the podcast once it's
I stopped
done,
listening to the podcast mid-season 1. I was like, I have too much of a queue. I don't need to... I've already done this. Like, I don't even remember what she's cut out anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing is I used to cut out a lot more than I cut out now just because...
Yeah, you used to do all of the ahs, clicks, like everything.
Yeah. I still do some of the clicks when they're really loud.
Yeah.
because you have a habit of clicking a lot. Yeah, like that.
And she'll be leaving that one in.
I'll be leaving them in. Literally, this bonus episode is going to be the least amount of editing I will have ever done.
Mm-hmm. Whereas my editing with the Reboot podcast is pretty much, if I hear it and I don't like it, I will cut it. If I don't hear it and it isn't like an issue, it stays in.
And I have never listened to the Reboot podcast.
Yep.
We recorded it. She edited it. I didn't, and then I put it up on. I just, that's it. Like, it's kind of like how the people in Star Wars don't need to watch Star Wars because they lived Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. Like, if I wasn't the one editing the podcast, once we're done recording, I wouldn't listen to it again.
Yeah.
But because I'm the one editing it, I listen to it over and over for hours. And then I don't ever want to hear it again.
Yeah, I think for the Reboot podcast, I tried editing from the back end once. And I was like, this is too long.
Yeah.
So I start from the front now, and I just, like, do it as I go. And it takes me maybe twice as long as the podcast is long, depending on what happens.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a fairly easy task for me because my brain doesn't, like...
attack you.
It doesn't grind to a halt.
Yes.
In the same way. I will get very distracted, and I will, like, go off on a completely different thing, but I don't grind to a halt and, like, stare at the screen and can't do a thing.
Yeah. My brain attacks me from the inside. It's not fun. It's not pleasant. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But yeah, my brain has an issue with many things, and one of them is when I hear my own voice for too long, it just stops registering. And that's why for you, the Reboot podcast was about half an hour, so it took you about an hour-ish.
Half an hour to an hour. Occasionally we went a little bit over, but not much.
Right. So it would take you about double to edit that podcast. For me, when our podcasts are about 2 hours long, it takes me about 8 hours at a minimum to edit because of the way that my brain works. So that's why we are eternally grateful for all of the people who actually listen. Because it makes me realize that all of the work that I'm putting into it, all of the insanity that my brain is making me go through, is being appreciated.
Yeah.
And that's literally, without the listeners that we've got, this podcast might not have continued.
Yeah.
Because we bit off a little more than we could chew when we started, because
we should have chosen a different format.
Well, it's not even so much that we should have chosen a different format.
We should have chosen a friendlier format, is what I'm saying.
There is that. But it's more in the fact that we should have recorded a few and saw how the editing process was going to happen.
Okay. Yeah.
Before ever putting an episode out, and we didn't do that. So that's a thing.
Yep. Next question.
Yes. What's with Kat's blue-green thing?
It's a brain thing.
It's a brain thing. I got hit by a truck when I was 8. And ever since then, the colors blue and green look gray. From anywhere from a second to 5 minutes. I think 8 minutes is the longest, but that only happened like once. And it's especially hard when it's a color, when it's a product or a thing that I've never seen before. That's when it will usually take the longest. But sometimes it does happen within just a second, even if it's something I've never seen before. If it's a color of blue that my brain has seen before, even if I don't remember it. Because what's happening in my head is my eyes see the color, it goes to my brain, and my brain goes, I know what this is, but I can't tell you what this is yet. And so my eyes see it, but they don't register it. And that's the issue. But as soon as it pops into color in my brain, it will usually stay there at least for a while until I leave that thing. So like, a rainbow flag or the AFC Wimbledon scarf, I know that those both have, blue on them. And I will...
And so does everything in this room because he's shedding like a mofo.
Yeah, different kind of blue. But like I know that the AFC Wimbledon scarf is blue and yellow. And so now when I walk in here, it within a second will turn blue in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always gray for that split second until my brain goes, oh, right, I know this one.
Yeah. I really want to just film you sorting a bunch of blue and green like crayons or some shit.
We have a thing that I'm trying to figure out how to make the video be a thing. But yes, there will be some interesting video things because I don't know how to edit video. So that's the biggest thing is whatever we do will be unedited. But yeah, we're gonna do a few things. That'll be fun Patreon.
It'll literally just be
exclusives.
A group of small objects that she has to sort into blues and greens.
Mm-hmm.
And you bet your ass I'm not making this easy.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be very, very interesting. And there has to be a third pile for things that are too close, like teals and aquamarine and turquoise. There will be a pile of issues.
Quote unquote blue greens.
Yeah.
But I will absolutely have you go back to that pile and try to sort the bluer ones from the greener ones.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sadist.
But yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. We're just trying to figure out the logistics on doing that. But yeah, it's gonna happen.
My favorite thing to do with her is to go to like TJ Maxx and like grab 2 random items from each the blue and the green aisle and walk up to her and go, "Hey, look."
Yep. It's quite fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the best
also
thing for me personally is the fact that I don't hate it when she does that. Like I love the fact that my brain has this stupid thing.
Yeah, like whenever we're driving and I point to a house and I say, I like that house color, it's always a blue or a green. And then I realize that and I have to go, oh, it's this color.
Yeah.
And I have to describe the color.
Yeah.
And I usually try to describe it with other things that I know she's seen or like in terms of, color names.
Yeah. Which is why I think it's hilariously funny for me personally that my favorite color is cobalt blue. Yeah. Well, technically, my favorite color is International Klein blue.
Yes.
But, you can't really find that anywhere except
you and
his
Eddie
paintings.
Redmayne.
Yeah. It's just so striking.
And he can't see it at all. So it's real fun that that's his color.
Yeah. It's just so pretty.
Well, I mean, he can see it for some reason. That one he recognizes. But, like, I gather that he's, like, pretty fucking colorblind, like, naturally.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, that's the biggest thing that people have to realize with my specific thing. I am not colorblind. I was hit by a truck when I was 8 and my brain did a weird wiring thing. Mm-hmm. And my brain is already wired weird because I have ADHD with OCD tendencies.
Mm-hmm. And anytime you have an eyelash in your left eye, you feel it in your right.
Yes.
That's a fun fact.
Yep. My brain is wired very weird and it's something I have dealt with for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Next question.
I mean, really, the only blue that your brain registers instantly is the one I'm holding.
Yes, but that's because he's white. He's a white Chihuahua.
Let me have the pun. He's blue.
He is blue. But he is a white Chihuahua.
Yes, I know that.
And so he's very easy.
Yes, he is.
He's very easy.
Although the vet label for him was not white, it was sand.
Well.
Because he's not white. He's just extremely light beige.
That is very true.
Mm-hmm.
He's textured.
Yeah, like he's a little darker on the back.
Yeah.
And like you see there's like a bit whiter right at the tip of his tail.
Yep.
But otherwise it's not white.
This is true. Next question. What else do you spend your time together doing?
Eating, mostly.
Eating, going to see movies.
Yeah.
We don't really get to hang out as just friends.
A whole lot.
Very much. Basically because our lives are just so completely different.
Yeah. Although we do live much closer now than we did
Yes.
for a while.
Yes. I think also the biggest thing that people don't always recognize is the fact that I'm 10 years older than you.
Yep.
So we are literally different generations.
You act very young.
I do. And you
I
are
act
an
very
old
weird.
soul. You are an old soul.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a decade of difference between us.
Mm-hmm.
And so our lives are very, very different. You also have a full-time job at a real, like, job place. And I walk dogs. You know, it's like our lives are just very, very different, and they always have been.
Yep.
And they probably always will be. But the fact that we get along so well, you know, it's like, it's one of those where, like, you are my best friend and I'm not your best friend, and that's okay.
I mean, you're up there.
Yeah. But, like,
You're not my only best friend.
Yeah. But, like, you know, I only have, that's the other thing that's also a big difference, is I only have a select few friends now. Like, I basically culled my friend group very much, because I realized that a lot of the people that had been in my life were toxic people, and I just needed to not be around them anymore. And you have many more extracurricular activities than I do.
This is true.
You have your choir.
Although you have a shit ton of, like, D&D crap.
I don't actually, not anymore.
You, like, across the years, though, you have.
Yes.
Like, there's
yes.
a ton of people.
I used to be in 5 RPGs a week,
Uh-huh.
which was a bit much even for me. Though I would go back to it in a heartbeat because I miss those games. But I'm down to 1 D&D game every 2 weeks now. And then one that will be like a once a month. Coming up.
And then, of course, Thursdays are Critical Role.
Yes.
Which you cannot interrupt for anything short of life emergency.
Yeah, no. Critical Role, that is my Thursday night.
It is critical that you have that.
Darn tootin'. Because I watch it live and I give out slow clap awards to anything that makes me laugh. And people seem to enjoy it. I just started doing it one day during campaign 1 and people seem to enjoy it. And so I kept doing it. And that's the thing now. It has become my role in the critter community. Yes. But yeah, our lives are very different. And so when we get together, we're basically just doing the podcast now. But we still, every once in a while, will be like, hey, there's this movie coming out. Let's record the podcast and then go see a movie. And so we still get to do that. And that makes me very happy.
Yeah.
So we do get to hang out as friends. We just don't get to do as much as we used to.
Yes.
But, you know, eventually,
there will be time.
There will be
time. We will
time.
have it. And we will have the time.
Yes. And it'll still be on Sundays.
Yes.
Because that's just how life works.
Yeah.
But we'll get to hang out as friends again.
Yep.
Which will be fun. But that won't be for a couple of years because there's still the rest of season 4 and then 4 more seasons.
Yep.
But that's okay.
Next question.
When did you first discover Tumblr and what fandom brought you there?
2012 was the year. I had just seen Avengers. And I couldn't get it out of my head. And concurrently, I was going through Supernatural and I was getting obsessed. And I kept seeing all of these, like, Tumblr gift sets popping up. And basically, Tumblr was the only place where I could go to, you know, kind of express but also absorb more of the thing without keep going to see movie and rewatching Netflix. So I joined Tumblr. And there's a lot of memes about, like, all of the cringe shit that happened in early Tumblr days. Like, not early Tumblr days, but, like, earlier Tumblr days before it blew up. And honestly, I'm kind of fond of most of those. Like, not with, like, the people having a tag for the N-word kind of shit, but, like, Mishapocalypse? I remember that fondly. I made friends.
Yeah.
DashCon? We went to DashCon together.
We did go to DashCon together, and that is where, if you see, like, my my Twitter or my Facebook, that is my Facebook picture, was taken at DashCon.
With Doug Jones.
Me and Doug Jones. It was the best weekend. Even with all of the insanity that happened at DashCon,
getting
it was still
corralled in the ballroom on Friday night and told that they needed $17,000 or it wouldn't continue.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I contributed an extra $20. What of it?
I gave 10. And my logic in that was, even if I never see that $10 again, it was worth it because I got to talk to Doug Jones 3 times.
Yes. And that's where we met our friends Lee and Pac.
Yeah.
And we're still friends with them.
Yep. And it's awesome.
And I believe we all went to go see Welcome to Night Vale together, didn't we?
We did. Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, DashCon, for as much of a clusterfuck as it was... Mm-hmm. And I also got to meet Time Crash.
Yes.
And so I got to be friends with Ronan. So now I have that relationship that I got. So it's
and we're both still on Tumblr. Like, it's become slowly more of a shit show, but it's still chronological, and I gotta love it for that, because everything else isn't, other than Twitter, and even then.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when I actually started on Tumblr, and I cannot for the life of me remember, but I know...
You haven't gotten those anniversary emails?
I probably have, but I get so many emails.
I remember when you used to get emails about, oh, you've liked this many things, or like, you've hit this many followers. Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, please stop sending those. And then they did.
Yep. I know that it has been many years.
Yes.
I know that it was after Mishapocalypse.
Okay, so it would have been 2013 or 2014 then.
Yeah. Because I was not there for Mishapocalypse. I was there just after that.
That was April Fool's Day of 2013, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so then it was either later in 2013 or it was 2014. Mm-hmm. Because I remember the next year of them reminding us that Mishapocalypse was a thing.
And I believe that was the year that they had the lizards with the hats.
Yes.
And that was the staff doing that.
Yes. Yeah. But I was there after Mishapocalypse, and that's basically all I remember. I'm fairly certain that the fandom that brought me was Leverage.
This doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't surprise me either.
It's always been a bit of a niche one on Tumblr, frankly.
Yeah.
But, like, bigger niche? Because, like, I see it not quite infrequently.
It might have also been Supernatural, but I honestly don't remember. Because it's been so long, and I cannot, for the life of me, scroll all the way back in my blog.
And also, they don't do a good job of putting timestamps on shit. You have to go to the actual person's page post. Yeah. Which is just tedious.
Yeah. And it's really hard to do anything on the mobile app.
It's gotten better.
No, I mean, like, in regards to finding out.
Oh, yeah. You have to go into, like, your actual web browser and make sure it doesn't redirect you to the app.
Yeah. It's weird.
Uh-huh.
Anyway. Next question.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite Disney movie?
I mean, I'm a ginger who sings. It's Little Mermaid.
Right?
Yeah.
Little Mermaid was my favorite of the Disney movies because it was the first time that I could sing along and, like, I remembered all the words. I didn't need to be listening to I didn't need to be watching the movie to sing the words. It was a song that just stuck with me.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, I love, love, love the Broadway production. I got to see it with my high school choir.
I've never seen it, and I want to see it so bad.
We took a trip to New York, and the 3 musicals we got to see were the original cast production of Little Mermaid, original cast of Legally Blonde, and the revival of A Chorus Line.
Nice. I've never seen A Chorus Line live, and I want to so bad.
It was good. I remember I sat just, like, barely behind a column at Legally Blonde. And I didn't, like, I got the soundtracks for I got the soundtracks for Legally Blonde and Little Mermaid. And then I got instantly obsessed with the Little Mermaid soundtrack. Because there's this one track that they add that introduces Ariel herself after they realize that she's not at, like, whatever event she's supposed to be at. Where it's just her, like, talking about, the world above. And I fell in love with it when I saw Sierra Burgess do it on stage. Mm-hmm. Or Sierra Burgess.
Sure.
No. Sierra Burgess, Titus Burgess. They have similar names, and they're not related, so it just confuses the crap out of me.
Sure.
Titus Burgess, who is also in Kimmy Schmidt.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes. He is delightful. And I didn't rediscover the Legally Blonde soundtrack until maybe 2014, 2015. And I was just like, oh shit, memories. But also like, this is apparently the right time in my life to now be obsessed with this one. But anyway, that's not really Disney per se. Although I cannot wait to hear more about whether or not we're going to get a Legally Blonde 3. There was an interview for
Wait, wasn't there a 3 already?
No, there was 2. Red, White, and
2?
Blonde.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that one.
That was one where she was in Congress.
That's the one where they made Paulette stupid.
Yeah. Which, you know, what's her, I'm struggling to remember the actress's name, but she's very good at doing a dumb person.
Stifler's mom?
Yes. But, like, she was in...
I want to say it's Jennifer something.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Yes.
Thank you. I needed a first name. I wasn't getting that.
That's fine. I couldn't remember the last name, so there we go.
There you go.
And this is why we're friends.
Yes. Jennifer Coolidge is expert at being dumb in the best way.
Yeah, I was mad that they dumbed down Pauline.
Paulette.
Paulette, sorry.
But no, yeah, the writing for her was worse in the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot fault Jennifer Coolidge for that. She was in a movie that was an adaptation of a Shannon Hale book, Austin Land.
Okay.
Where literally it's like a resort you go to where you pretend to be in Jane Austen.
I've heard of it. I've seen the cover, but I've never actually watched the movie.
Yes, and it has Kerry Russell in it.
Yes.
And it's very good, and Jennifer Coolidge is one of the best parts. Yeah. And I love it so much. Yeah. Anyway, that was not Disney either.
That was a lovely little tangent off the question. For me, it's funny because like there are so many different, I don't want to say genres because that's not exactly the word I mean, but there are different periods for Disney movies.
Yes.
And like the renaissance of Disney movies
started with Little Mermaid.
Yeah. And
then
now we're into
like Mulan and stuff, and then they started doing the 3D animation.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can't do 3D.
And that's changed. But... it would be nice if they would keep the 2D, but, you know, budgets. Capitalism.
But yeah, no, like my favorite all-time Disney movie that like if it's on, I will, and I have the time, I will just sit down and start watching it, is Little Mermaid. Like without fail, no matter where it shows up, even if it's the last 3 minutes of the movie, I'll be like, I'm here for this. Let's watch this. And it just brings me back to like my childhood and the feelings of what I felt when I was a kid watching that movie.
I think my runner-up is probably either Mulan or Hercules.
My runner-up when it comes to the story is Mulan.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the music is Hercules. Because like there are just a few more songs in Hercules that I enjoy, and there's a lot more like little in-jokes from Hercules.
Yeah, and a lot more Danny DeVito.
I mean,
yeah,
it's very funny. But I really, truly love the story of Mulan, and they did a very, very good job.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that, again, for the music alone, I will say is Pocahontas. Because just some of the songs in that...
I think it's been a lot longer since I've rewatched that one.
Some of the songs in that one were just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I did some of those for choirs and stuff like that. So that has a special place in my heart. But being historically inaccurate...
They're all historically inaccurate.
But this one is... I'm sorry. There are no
mermaids
cliffs
don't exist.
In Virginia. She could not go cliff diving the way she did. I'm not going to tangent. Next question. Do you have a favorite movie?
Practical Magic.
See, for me, this is such a hard question because there's so many different genres, and I have a favorite movie in many different genres.
Okay, I will say... For movies that I have seen in the theater, I have a metric, and that's pretty much measured against the first Avengers movie. Because I saw that 4 times in the theater, one of which, I will admit, I recorded the audio from on my phone so I could listen to it at work.
Naughty.
Not that naughty. I originally was just recording the parts with Tom Hiddleston, and then I was like, I might as well get the entire thing. And I listened to the entire movie through the credits about 100 times.
Wow.
So technically that's the one I've experienced the most.
See, but you can't necessarily go by that.
Well, this is why I have this metric. Like, that is my favorite in-theater movie. Practical Magic is my favorite movie, period, because I can quote that front to fucking back. Because I have seen it so many times. My dad bought it for us. He got the soundtrack for us. We used to listen to it in the car. I introduced my 5th grade teacher to it. I used to go through the DVD extras and there's a thing in the DVD where if you hit the right, like, arrows and whatnot, you can unlock a spell that will lead you to some, like, interviews.
Okay.
And I have done that a whole bunch. I still remember how to do it, even though it's like formatted very differently for most DVDs now.
Yeah.
And DVD extras. But yeah, Practical Magic, instantly, favorite movie. I'm constantly waiting brooms to fall so I can make companies coming jokes. And I don't like margaritas, but midnight is the time for them.
Yes.
So what's yours?
Like all time, I could watch it forever kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I actually have one.
Okay. What would you say is the one you've seen the most, like numbers wise?
Oh, Titanic, but that doesn't mean I like it. So, okay, I have a story about Titanic. Let me tell you this story real quick.
I shall tell you mine.
I have seen Titanic in the theater when it came out 16 times.
Damn, girl.
I did not pay for it a single time. I went to see it with different people every time. And the only reason that I went to see it with said 16 people, not all at once, is because nobody could get the same day off of work, but they all wanted to go see the movie and they all didn't want to go alone. And I literally was like, I have nothing to do, because when it came out, you know, I was like 16. What do I have to do? You know? But I legit was just like, well, if you pay for my ticket, I'll go see it with you. 16 times. I owned it on VHS. It was a double VHS set. I bought it. It stayed in the plastic wrap until we threw it out about 3 years ago.
I have a very vivid memory
Never watched.
of going to see Titanic with my family. Mom, possibly dad, definitely brother. And when exiting the theater, my brother and I were hawking loogies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gross.
It was the best.
So gross.
I mean, that's, of course, the exact thing that you expect a 7 and a 9-year-old to come up with.
Yes.
I also remember leaving the theater for Tarzan with my cousin, where we were on all fours, like gorillas. But yeah. Hawking loogies.
Yeah, no, gross. There are a few movies that, like, I absolutely love and will watch them a lot. Memento is one of them.
I only got through a half hour of that one.
Oh my god, it's so weird.
To be specific, I only got through a half hour of that because the person I was watching it with, who insisted that we watch it, then decided that he wanted to watch a different movie. So we switched to a different movie. I don't remember what it was, but my brain wouldn't process the new movie for a while because it was in chronological order now. And my brain had gotten used to doing not that for Memento. And so it took me like 20 minutes of this new movie to realize, oh no, nothing's wrong. You're just in the wrong mindset. And then I switched and then it was fine.
Well, I will gladly watch Memento
drunk.
with you.
I was slightly drunk too, so that probably didn't help.
Yes.
It might have been V for Vendetta, actually.
But I will gladly watch Memento with you if you would like to see it.
I don't know that I want to.
It's such a good movie.
I get that, but like...
And it's a movie that makes you realize that memory is unreliable, and that's the whole point.
I get that.
And so it made me realize that my brain was against me. But like in the best possible way.
Mm-hmm. I gotta be in a mood for it. And I haven't been in that mood.
I totally get that. I absolutely understand that.
Mm-hmm. I don't have to be in a mood for Practical Magic, which is why I can watch it so much.
Yeah. There are a few movies that I have to be in the right mindset for. Mm-hmm. But there are some movies, like if I feel like I need to watch something that's going to make me cry happy tears, Under the Tuscan Sun, I will be bawling by the end of that movie.
I've
it
seen
is proven.
Maybe twice.
It's just, again, it's one of those where, like, most of the movie, I'm just like, okay, I'm sitting through this. And then the last 30 minutes, like the back half of that movie, and I am just in tears by the last scene.
You know what's an inexplicable, not exactly favorite movie of mine, but I will watch it again if given the opportunity? 13 Ghosts.
You know what?
I don't, like, okay, so
I have seen that movie. That is a Matthew Lillard classic.
Oh my gosh, no, he was at Gamehole Con when I was volunteering, and I saw him walking. I was like, is that Matthew? But I couldn't remember his name at the time. And then someone's like, oh yeah, he does like D&D stuff, so he's you know here for shit. And my friend who was there, who I only found out was there when I got to the convention center and stopped at the registration table, and she was there with her husband eating food. We didn't even notice each other until we both looked up. She went to go say hi to him and said that her favorite movie of his was, you know, Scooby-Doo. And he's like, girl, get in this millennium. Like, very kindly, but also, like, he clearly gets that a lot.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to, like, run into him and be like, hey, I'm a real fan of your work. I love 13 Ghosts. And I just wanted to see his face when I said that. Yeah. Because, honestly, that is my favorite movie of his. Yeah. And I used to be able to name, like, all of the ghosts. And there's a vocal affect that happens in this movie where it's like a delayed vocal affect where you hear like the echo before the voice. And it happens in more than just this movie, but every time I hear it, I think of 13 Ghosts. For some reason, just like, I forget when it was. It was like late elementary, early middle school. I was just obsessed with that movie. And now I cannot handle horror. Yeah. But that movie I still love.
For me, I think it's because that movie...
I must have seen it when I was still a bit of a sociopath.
As much as that movie is,
or when I thought
was a horror movie, it's not really a horror movie as it is. It's much more a psychological thriller, kind of like with horror elements,
with gore.
Yeah, and I truly enjoyed that movie. They did a very good job with that movie. What's the other one? Phantoms. Phantoms was another one. I
don't remember that one.
It's Ben Affleck. Who else is in? I want to say Rose McGowan was in that one.
I don't remember seeing that going through her IMDb, but I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong.
You were the bomb in Phantoms. Yeah, Rose McGowan was in it. Peter O'Toole, Liev Schreiber, a whole bunch of different people. But yeah, that one is the synopsis, since I have IMDb open, is 150 dead and 350 missing in a tiny mountain town of Snowfield, Colorado, and that's only the beginning. And it was one of those movies where
so that's more the tagline than the synopsis.
Well, yeah. But the reason that I even watched Phantoms is because in one of Kevin Smith's movies,
he references it.
Yeah, it was I think it was one of the Jay and Silent Bob movies that we're talking about. They met with Ben Affleck and like, you were in a bomb in Phantoms, and I was like, I've never seen that. Now I have to watch that, and so I did. And it was actually not a bad movie. I'm gonna be honest. In my guilty pleasure, my favorite Ben Affleck movie is Paycheck, because it's such a dumb movie, and yet it just makes me smile every time I watch it. Let me see, what other movies did I absolutely love? Rising Sun. Okay. I love the book. But I really love the movie. It's one of my favorite Sean Connery movies. Sean Connery, Wesley Snipes. Okay. It's like a mystery thriller kind of detective movie.
I do not know it.
It's good. It's very good. I'll let you borrow the book if you'd like to read the book. I can let you borrow the movie too if you'd like to see the movie. But you're more of a reader than I am these days.
I know, but I'm not really into like psychological thriller reading unless it's Maureen Johnson.
Well, there is that. Anyway, we should...
Next question.
What motivated you to start and continue the podcast?
We kind of talked about that.
We kind of talked about that a little bit, but...
Really, like, motivated us to start is, oh, hey, we don't see this yet, and we could do this.
And reminding you, this was before anyone else had made a podcast about Charmed, and this was before the reboot was even a thing.
If there had been previous podcasts about Charmed, they'd probably like died off, gotten taken down, like
whatever.
It
didn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But this was also before the reboot was even in talks. So this wasn't there's a reboot coming, we should make a podcast about the original.
Or maybe they were in talks, but no one knew about it yet. Because I don't think we heard anything until 2017.
I don't think we actually heard anything until like the late 2017.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like where they said they were thinking about doing a reboot and it was going to be a prequel.
Right. I think that and then they scrapped that completely.
Because I know the what I've read about why the direction of the reboot changed was due to the 2016 election. So they might have already been in talks then and just there was nothing like concrete to say.
Yeah.
There was nothing you would release to the public. Everyone was probably under NDAs for some odd reason.
Well, yeah. But I just know that there was no like the reboot is happening, here's the day it's happening thing when we made the podcast. It was there
wasn't even here's the theme.
Right. It was most definitely like our deciding to make a podcast for the original Charmed had nothing to do with they're coming out with this reboot, we should make an original. Mm-hmm. It was just Kendra was like, hey, someone should make a podcast. I was like, I could probably do that. I know how to edit audio. Let's do this together. And it just kind of happened. And the motivating us to continue is the fact that we got listeners.
Yeah.
Literally, that is what motivated us to continue, is the fact that people decided to listen and support us and, enjoyed what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so without the listeners, like, I know it sounds a cliche, but without the listeners, we wouldn't be doing this.
That is entirely correct.
So thank you. Next question. If you could have any cast member give some behind the scenes info, who would you want and for which episode?
For original or reboot?
For the original.
Okay.
For me, it would be Holly. I mean...
Well, yeah, of course.
Just because...
Holly would be great. Although, I would love to have, like, Julian McMahon run us through some shit. Or maybe, Brian Krause.
Yeah.
Because, like, they're not in a lot of episodes, but they might be there for a lot of episodes because they have, like, one scene. Maybe they just hang out.
Yeah.
Depending on what the shooting day is like, because I know that can be different.
Personally, I would love to get, like, all of the boys.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
let's have, what? Let's have, Daryl.
Yeah.
Walk us through.
Is it Dorian Gregory?
Dorian Gregory. Or something. Let's have Dorian walk us through. That'll be fun. Yeah,
like, I think that's the biggest thing. Is, like, we automatically assume, one of the girls, whatever. But, like, I'd kind of like to see the boys' take on it. Just because,
Or I would love to have, like, the prop master.
Yeah.
I love props so goddamn much. I always want to know how all of the things work. Mm-hmm. So if we had the prop master, like, walking us through and telling us about, like, this is, like, how the set deconstructs. Here's, the fake glass and, like, the way we construct the windows so they can just be blown out whenever the fuck we need. Like, what the piano is made of that we can just crash into it.
Yeah.
I want to know all that crap.
Yeah. I love a good behind the scenes anything.
Mm-hmm. We want to see wardrobe, too.
Yes. Yes.
I want to know how they segregate that.
I'm sure each girl has their own little section.
Yes, but, like, they're in the same warehouse, presumably.
Yeah, but they each have their own little section. I've seen enough behind the scenes stuff from people that I know that each character's wardrobe is in its own little section on its own little spout of wall labeled to high hell. And so I'm sure that it was like that where each girl had a section, and there was probably a little section of anyone can wear this because they were all about the same size.
Yeah.
So it was, whoever needs a shirt this day will have this outfit. But yeah, it would be very interesting to see any and all behind the scenes stuff. I love behind the scenes stuff. I've always wanted to be behind the scenes. Like, I've always had a love of photography and stuff like that. And, back in high school when my friends would have parties and get together and whatever, I would always be like, okay, who's got the camera? I'll be behind the camera. Just because that's always what I've liked to do. I enjoy capturing the memory. So, yeah. All right.
Final question?
Final question. Is there another show you would consider doing once you're done with Charmed?
Well, I know for you that's Leverage.
I mean, it's always Leverage.
Yeah.
It would be a completely different format to this.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Completely.
That's a good question. I don't know. Like, the world doesn't need more Buffy podcasts.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't.
Like, I don't really have a relationship with a show in the way that I have a relationship with Charmed.
Yeah. And for me, with Leverage, I love Leverage. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love it. But I don't know that I would be able to do a podcast like this with Leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would involve a lot of, picking it apart and stuff like that, like we do with this show Out of Love.
Mm-hmm. And Leverage is a very different kind of show.
Yeah, it's so different.
It's so episodic.
Yeah.
And formulaic.
Yeah.
And it works, but like...
Each episode is a contained story.
Yeah. At some point, you're just saying the same things over and over again because of the formula.
Yeah.
Whereas Charmed, like, it's a bit formulaic in terms of, like, how they make the big bads and what happens to them, and, like, at the point in the episode which you think it's the thing and it's not.
Yeah. And there's a lot of times, too, with Charmed where every episode is a Monster of the Week kind of thing.
Which I enjoy.
And it's fun. And, and the fact that we go on about, like, what they're wearing and all those little things. Because that's the stuff that makes Charmed Charmed. It's so stuck in the year it was made.
Yeah.
Whereas for Leverage, it isn't. It's... I don't want to say it's timeless, because it's not timeless. No, that's a different show.
Just see the cell phones they use. It's definitely not timeless.
Yeah, but as in regards to the type of things that happen, it could be happening at any time because it's, a bunch of bad guys trying to be good guys. And they do such a good job with bringing you into the story that for me personally, I love the show so much because I just get drawn into it and I don't want to overanalyze it. And I think that's part of the reason I love it so much. And that I wouldn't want to do a podcast on it.
Yeah.
In this kind of vein. If I were to do a Leverage podcast, it would be a completely different format. So completely different.
Yeah. We tried that watch along thing.
We did. Nobody knows about that yet. But yeah, we tried that.
It didn't work out.
It didn't work out. But I still want you to finish watching Leverage with me. But yeah, it's... Yeah.
Yep. I think that about sums it up.
Yeah, like, because Leverage would be one of those where, like for Charmed, there's a lot of research that goes into each episode because little things happen and I'm like, well, wait, what does that mean? And I look it up and that sort of thing because that's how my brain works. But with Leverage, I'm not drawn to do that. And I think there's the difference.
Yeah.
Is like no other show has kind of captured my brain in I want to pick this apart because I love it enough to pick it apart.
Yeah.
And like figure out, why does this bit annoy me? I love this show. Why does this moment annoy me? Those sort of things. The way that Charmed has. I think maybe the only other show that's a possibility that has made me kind of be like, well, why did they do this? Would be like The Magicians.
That is fun, yeah.
But again, I don't want to pick it apart.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is like Charmed is one of those shows that like I love it so much, but I want to pick it apart.
Yeah, I think I get a little bit of that way with Magicians in just I want to, try and think about certain choices that production made. Mm-hmm. But I do that with most shows these days because since I started thinking about it, I can't not think about that. Right. It's very difficult for me to get through an episode of any show nowadays where I'm not like, oh, this is a production choice. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't entirely immerse myself. Yeah. Ever. Yeah. Which, it's not bad for me. I enjoy that. That's fine. But, like, occasionally we'll be talking about Charmed and you'll be going from in-world perspective, and I'll be going from an out-of-world perspective.
Right.
And we'll be disagreeing on a thing, even if it's, like, because we're both, like, right.
Yeah.
In a way. It's just that...
We're just right from different views.
From different viewpoints, you know, like...
Yeah.
I'm taking the viewpoint from Sunday, so...
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting concept for us to try and do a different podcast for a different show.
I don't know that I want to.
But I don't think it's going to happen.
No.
And I'm being completely honest about it. I don't think it's going to happen. But that's okay, because we still have
4 seasons.
4 seasons to go. So
winter, spring, summer, fall.
Yeah. And then there's the possibility, and I'm just putting it as a possibility, that we will do something in regards to the comic books that came out after the fact. And the only reason I'm putting it as a possibility is because I have yet to read the comic books.
I read 1. And I will just leave it at that.
There you go.
Are we done?
I think we're done.
Have we answered all the A's?
We have ate
all the Q's?
We have ate all the Q's. And now it's time for us to...
Q probably does like
to eat all the food.
Q probably does like A.
Yeah, that's where we're going to leave that.
Uh-huh.
Ugh.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you again. Bye.